Alfred Dreyfus was a French artillery officer of Jewish background whose trial and conviction in 1894 on charges of treason became one of the most tense political dramas in modern European history. Known today as the Dreyfus Affair, the incident eventually ended with Dreyfus's complete exoneration. Early life. Born in Mulhouse, Alsace in 1859, Dreyfus was the youngest of 9 children born to Raphael and Jeanette Dreyfus. Raphael Dreyfus was a prosperous, self-made, Jewish textile manufacturer who had started as a peddler. Alfred was 10 years old when the Franco-Prussian War broke out in the summer of 1870, and his family moved to Paris following the annexation of Alsace-Lorraine by Germany after the war. The childhood experience of seeing his family uprooted by the war with Germany prompted Dreyfus to decide on a career in the military. Following his 18th birthday in October 1877, he enrolled in the elite École Polytechnique military school in Paris, where he received military training and an education in the sciences. In 1880, he graduated and was commissioned as a sub-lieutenant in the French army. From 1880 to 1882, he attended the artillery school at Fontainebleau to receive more specialized training as an artillery officer. On graduation, he was assigned to the 31st Artillery Regiment, which was in garrison at Le Mans. Dreyfus was subsequently transferred to a mounted artillery battery attached to the 1st Cavalry Division, and promoted to lieutenant in 1885. In 1889, he was made adjutant to the director of the Établissement de Bourges, a government arsenal, and promoted to captain. On the 18th of April 1891, the 31-year-old Dreyfus married 20-year-old Lucie Eugénie Hadamard. They had 2 children, Pierre and Jean. 3 days after the wedding, Dreyfus learned that he had been admitted to the École Supérieure de Guerre War College. 2 years later, he graduated 9th in his class with honorable mention and was immediately designated as a trainee in the French Army's General Staff headquarters, where he would be the only Jewish officer. His father Raphael died on the 13th of December 1893, at the War College examination in 1892. His friends had expected him to do well. However, one of the members of the panel, General Bonifond, felt that Jews were not desired on the star, and gave Dreyfus poor marks for Côte d'Amour. Bonifond's assessment lowered Dreyfus's overall grade. He did the same to another Jewish candidate, Lieutenant Picard. Learning of this injustice, the 2 officers lodged a protest with the director of the school, General Lebel de Dion, who expressed his regret for what had occurred, but said he was powerless to take any steps in the matter. The protest would later count against Dreyfus. The French army of the period was relatively open to entry and advancement by talent, with an estimated 300 Jewish officers, of whom 10 were generals. However, within the 4th Bureau of the General Staff, General Bonifond's prejudices appear to have been shared by some of the new trainees, superiors. The personal assessments received by Dreyfus during 1893-94 acknowledged his high intelligence but were critical of aspects of his personality. The Dreyfus Affair. In 1894, the French Army's counter-intelligence section, led by Lt. Colonel Jean Sander, became aware that information regarding new artillery parts was being passed to the Germans by a highly placed spy, most likely to be on the general staff. Suspicion quickly fell upon Dreyfus, who was arrested for treason on the 15th of October 1894. On the 5th of January 1895, Dreyfus was summarily convicted in a secret court-martial, publicly stripped of his army rank, and sentenced to life imprisonment on Devil's Island in French Guiana. Following French military custom of the time, Dreyfus was formally degraded by having the rank insignia, buttons and braid cut from his uniform and his sword broken. In the courtyard of the École Militaire, before silent ranks of soldiers while a large crowd of onlookers shouted abuse from behind railings, Dreyfus cried out, "I swear that I am innocent. I remain worthy of serving in the army. Long live France! Long live the army!" In August 1896, the new chief of French military intelligence, Lt. Colonel Georges Piquart, reported to his superiors that he had found evidence to the effect that the real traitor was a Major Ferdinand Walson Esterhazy. Piquart was silenced by being transferred to the southern desert of Tunisia in November 1896. When reports of an army cover-up and Dreyfus's possible innocence were leaked to the press, a heated debate ensued about anti-Semitism and France's identity as a Catholic nation or a republic founded on equal rights for all citizens. Esterhazy was found not guilty by a secret court-martial before fleeing to England. Following a passionate campaign by Dreyfus's supporters, including leading artists and intellectuals including Émile Zola, he was given a second trial in 1899 and again declared guilty of treason despite the evidence in favor of his innocence. However, due to public opinion, Dreyfus was offered and accepted a pardon by President Émile Loubet in 1899 and released from prison. This was a compromise that saved face for the military's mistake. Had Dreyfus refused the pardon, he would return to Devil's Island, a fate he could no longer emotionally cope with. So officially Dreyfus remained a traitor to France, and pointedly remarked upon his release, "The government of the Republic has given me back my freedom. It is nothing for me without my honor." For 2 years, until July 1906, he lived in a state of house arrest with one of his sisters at Carpentras, and later at Cologne. On the 12th of July 1906, Dreyfus was officially exonerated by a military commission. The day after his exoneration, he was readmitted into the army with a promotion to the rank of major. A week later, he was made a Knight of the Legion of Honor, and subsequently assigned to command an artillery unit at Vincennes. On the 15th of October 1906, he was placed in command of another artillery unit at Saint-Denis. In 1937, his son Pierre published his father's memoirs based on his correspondence between 1899 and 1906. The memoirs were published Souvenirs et Correspondence and translated into English by Dr. Betty Morgan. Dreyfus was present at the ceremony removing Zola's ashes to the Pantheon in 1908 when he was wounded in the arm by a gunshot from Louis Gregory, a disgruntled journalist in an assassination attempt. Later life. World War I. Dreyfus's prison sentence in Devil's Island had taken its toll on his health. He was granted retirement from the army in October 1907 at the age of 48. As a reserve officer, he re-entered the army as a major of artillery at the outbreak of World War I. Serving throughout the war, Dreyfus rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel. By then in his mid-50s, Dreyfus served mostly behind the lines of the Western Front, in part as commander of an artillery supply column. However, he also performed frontline duties in 1917, notably at Verdun and on the Chemin des Dames. He was promoted to the rank of Officier de la Légion d'honneur in November 1918. Dreyfus's son Pierre also served throughout the entire war as an artillery officer, receiving the Croix de Guerre. Death. Dreyfus died in Paris aged 75 on the 12th of July 1935, exactly 29 years after his exoneration. 2 days later, his funeral cortège passed the Place de la Concorde through the ranks of troops assembled for the Bastille Day national holiday. He was interred in the Cimetière du Montparnasse, Paris. The inscription on his tombstone is in Hebrew and French. It reads, "A statue of Dreyfus holding his broken sword is located at Boulevard Raspail, N degree 116 to 118, at the exit of the Notre Dame des Champs metro station. A duplicate statue stands at the entrance to the Museum of Jewish Art and History in Paris." Bibliography. Lettres d'un innocent. Les Lettres du Capitaine Dreyfus à sa femme, written at Devil's Island. 5 de Marville. Souvenirs et correspondence, posthumously in 1936. Burns, Michael Dreyfus, A Family Affair 1789–1945, HarperCollins. ISBN 9780060163662.